I never thought I'd end up working alone at night in a place like this. 3 weeks ago, I got a call from a man named Mr. Clark, offering me a job as a night guard at an old amusement park on the edge of town. It had been closed for over a decade, and everyone in town said the place was cursed. I didn't believe in that kind of stuff. I just needed the money. The pay was too good to refuse double what I was making at my last job, so I said yes. But when I went to sign the contract, Mr. Clark slid a single sheet of paper across the table. On it was a list of rules. He told me to follow them exactly. His voice was calm, but his eyes looked almost afraid. The rules were strange. Things like, never stand near the carousel after midnight. Keep the main gate locked at exactly 3:00 a.m. If you hear a child laughing, do not look for them. Do not answer if someone calls your name. I remember laughing nervously, asking him if this was some kind of joke. He didn't smile. "They're not jokes, son," he said. "These rules keep you alive." I didn't know what he meant then, but now I wish I had never taken that job. The first night I showed up at the park, the sun was just dipping below the horizon. The amusement park looked frozen in time, rusted rides, peeling paint, and faded signs that whispered stories of laughter long gone. I pulled open the creaky gate and stepped inside, feeling a chill crawl up my spine despite the warm air. The silence was heavy. No birds, no wind, no sounds of city life, just the distant echo of my footsteps on cracked concrete. I thought about the rules Mr. Clark gave me and tried to shake off the uneasy feeling. Maybe it was just nerves. After all, I'd worked late-night shifts before. I made my way toward the guard shack, a small cabin that looked like it hadn't been used in years. Inside, the desk was covered with old paperwork, and a single flickering light bulb hung from the ceiling. I flipped the switch to turn on the security monitors. Most cameras showed nothing but darkness, except for a few flickering static images that made me squint. Then, as midnight approached, I noticed the carousel, the one ride Mr. Clark warned me about. It stood in the center of the park, its horses frozen mid-gallop, chipped and worn. A cold breeze passed through, making the carousel's chipped paint shimmer oddly. I glanced at my watch. 11:59 p.m. I remembered the rule, never stand near the carousel after midnight. I stepped away quickly but couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching me from those empty horse eyes. That night, I didn't sleep. The park felt alive in a way I couldn't explain, like it was waiting for something. The next night, I arrived early, hoping to settle into the routine. The sun was just setting, casting long shadows over the empty rides. I told myself it was all in my head, the weird feelings from the night before. But as I walked past the carousel, something made me pause, a faint sound, like distant laughter, barely audible. I scanned the area, but saw nothing. The park was empty, or so I thought. As I continued my rounds, I noticed a small figure darting between the shadows near the old Ferris wheel. At first, I thought it was a stray animal, but then I saw it more clearly, a little girl, wearing a faded dress and with tangled hair, staring at me with wide, unblinking eyes. "Hey," I called softly, trying not to startle her. She didn't respond. Instead, she just smiled, a slow, unsettling grin that didn't reach her eyes. I wanted to ask her who she was, where her parents were, but before I could say a word, she vanished. Just like that, gone into thin air. My heart pounded. Was I imagining things? Or was this what Mr. Clark meant by the park being alive? I felt a cold breeze pass, and the carousel's music box suddenly started playing a slow, haunting melody somewhere in the distance. I hurried back to the guard shack, trying to shake the chill creeping down my spine. That night, I stayed alert, watching the monitors for any sign of the girl or anything else moving in the shadows. But the cameras showed only empty rides and flickering static. I wasn't sure if I wanted to stay anymore. Something wasn't right in that park, and I had a feeling this was just the beginning. That night, I barely slept. Every creak and groan of the old amusement park echoed in my ears. I kept picturing the little girl's eerie smile, her unblinking eyes. When the clock struck midnight, I decided to take another walk outside, hoping fresh air would calm my nerves. As I stepped out, a thick fog had rolled in, muffling sounds and blurring the dim lights. The whole park looked like it belonged in a nightmare. I could barely see the Ferris wheel, but its faint silhouette loomed like a giant ghost. Suddenly, a voice whispered behind me, "Leave, now." It was so soft I almost missed it. I spun around, but no one was there. The hairs on my neck stood up as the voice repeated, this time louder and angrier, "Leave before it's too late." I froze, unsure if I was hearing things or if someone or something was really trying to warn me. I wanted to run, but my feet felt glued to the ground. The fog thickened, and in it, I thought I saw shadowy figures moving between the rides. Then, a flash of light from the old carousel caught my eye. The horses moved slowly, their painted eyes gleaming, but as I watched, their smiles twisted into grimaces, like they were warning me too. I decided to head back to the shack, heart racing. Before I reached safety, a chill breeze carried a faint, distant laugh that sounded far too much like the girls. Once inside, I locked the doors and stared at the security monitors. The screens flickered, and for a brief moment, the little girl appeared on one of them, just standing there, staring straight at me. Then she was gone. I knew then I wasn't dealing with a simple job. Something dark was alive in that park, and it wanted me to leave. The next morning, despite my growing fear, I forced myself to return to the park. I knew I couldn't keep running away. Something was hidden here, and I had to find out what. The fog had lifted, revealing the worn-down rides and crumbling booths in full daylight. The air smelled stale and damp, but the silence was almost worse. No birds sang, no distant city noise, just an eerie quiet that pressed down on me. I walked toward the old carousel, the place where I'd seen that strange light and those twisted horse faces. As I approached, I noticed something I hadn't the night before. A small door hidden behind the ride's platform, almost invisible in the peeling paint and rust. With shaking hands, I pulled it open. A narrow staircase led down into darkness. I flicked on my flashlight and descended cautiously, the air growing colder with every step. At the bottom, I found a basement filled with old toys, broken carnival prizes, and scattered papers. But what caught my eye was a large, dusty book resting on a table. Its leather cover was cracked, and strange symbols were embossed on the front. I flipped it open, revealing handwritten notes and sketches, some of the little girl from the park, others of mysterious rituals. The book told a chilling story. Decades ago, the park's founder had tried to summon something powerful to attract visitors, something that had trapped the girl's spirit here ever since. I heard footsteps above me, slow and deliberate. Panic surged through me as I realized I wasn't alone. I quickly hid the book and ran up the stairs, desperate to get out before whoever or whatever was upstairs found me. That day, I uncovered more than I bargained for, and the dark secrets of the park began to unravel. But it was only the beginning. That night, I knew I couldn't ignore what I'd found. The secrets hidden beneath the park were real, and they were dangerous. But I also knew I had to face whatever was haunting that place, if I wanted answers or to survive. I returned to the park as darkness settled, my heart pounding with every step. The air was colder than before, thick with tension. I held the old book tight in my hands, hoping it might hold clues to ending this nightmare. As I walked near the carousel, a chilling whisper floated on the wind, soft, almost pleading. Then, a shadow moved just beyond the broken fence, flickering like a flame in the dark. The ghostly figure of the little girl appeared, her white eyes glowing faintly. "Why are you here?" she asked, her voice barely more than a breath. "I want to help," I replied, voice trembling but determined. "I found the book. I know what happened to you." Her eyes filled with sorrow as she reached out, but before I could touch her, a cold force slammed into me. The ground beneath the carousel cracked, and from the shadows emerged a twisted figure, the spirit the founder had summoned decades ago. It was dark, distorted, and hungry for escape. I remembered the rituals in the book and pulled it out, reciting the words that promised to seal the spirit away. The air grew thick and heavy, the spirit howling in rage as the light from the book grew brighter. The girl's spirit smiled faintly, her white eyes softening as she faded into the light, finally free. The park fell silent once more, but I knew the darkness would never fully disappear. Some secrets are buried for a reason. The first rays of dawn were just breaking as I stumbled out of the park, exhausted and shaken. The air felt lighter, almost peaceful, But deep inside, I knew things had changed forever. The darkness that once hung over the old amusement park had lifted, at least for now, but the scars it left would remain. In the days that followed, I found myself unable to shake the memories, the ghostly girl's pleading eyes, the twisted spirit's furious cries, and the weight of the book I'd carried like a talisman. I tucked the book away, hoping no one else would ever unleash the horrors it contained. But the questions lingered. How many other secrets like this were hidden in forgotten places? And what if the darkness found a way back? The town seemed to return to normal, but I noticed subtle changes. People avoided the park, whispering about strange noises and flickering lights at night. Rumors spread, the kind that didn't make the news but thrived in hushed conversations. For me, the experience left a mark, one that pushed me to keep searching, digging into the stories that others were too scared to tell. As I reflect on everything, I realize that some places hold on to their history in ways we don't understand. And sometimes, the past isn't dead, it's just waiting for someone brave enough to face it. If you ever find yourself drawn to a mystery, be careful what you wish for, because some stories are darker than you can imagine. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more chilling tales like this, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think really happened in that abandoned park? Have you ever experienced something unexplainable? Drop your stories and comments below, and let's talk about it. Thanks for watching, and remember, some mysteries are better left unsolved. See you in the next story.